At the end of the second episode of the second season of Yellowjackets, we saw that the group participated in a feast that was hauntingly gruesome to watch. And to be honest, it was a surprise that everybody participated in it. Well, everybody but Coach Ben. He himself looked over from a distance and looked in shock as the group turned into savages and consumed Jackie. But I feel this was a sign of what's to come. That supported with something else that we saw in the trailer, it most certainly means that things won't be looking good for Ben moving forward. So with that, I thought I'd give my theories and predictions on what I think is going to happen to the character. So let's get into it. Here is why Ben was so scared at the end of Yellowjackets Season 2 Episode 2. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The final scene. Within the final scene of the episode, we saw the group decide to get rid of Jackie's body due to the fact that it was 2 months old, and Shauna was having hallucinations and believing that her best friend was real, but she was also consuming Jackie in her own time, such as when we saw her eat her ear, and also when she took a slice out of her. This paired with Shauna putting makeup on her and believing that she was still alive at points was something that was enough to make the group rally together and want to nip the issue in the bud. Something which I wasn't really surprised by, but I was surprised by what they did afterwards. So with the ground being frozen solid and there being no way of being able to bury Jackie, the group instead decided to burn the body on the fire pit until it was only ashes. However, that didn't turn out to be the case. In a moment that had tensions building and rising due to the intimate nature of Travis and Natalie, with Travis having visions of Lottie whilst they were together, as the temperature was rising in the room, the body was cooling. This was due to a pile of snow falling on top of it and putting the fire out. This left the body in a state where it was at the point where the group assumed as though it was the perfectly cooked temperature and standard. With that, we then saw Shauna look down to her stomach and said she wants us to, as if to imply that it was destiny for them to consume Jackie, a sacrifice that was made and a way in which they'd be able to survive for a little while longer. Following that, we then saw all of them gathered around the pit, and in an animalistic fashion, they proceeded to consume Jackie in the most brutal, bloodiest and savage of ways, gnawing at it and scrambling around as if they were beasts. With the shots cutting back and forth between a Greek mythological feast, it showed the drastic contrast to the way that the group were currently living and how they were actually perceiving what they were doing. It also tied into the group mentality of the ritualistic nature of what they were doing, rather than how we actually perceived it in reality. Within this scene, we saw that there was one individual who didn't participate in the consumption of Jackie, and this individual was Ben. We saw a Ben that looked in shock at what he was witnessing, and even stepped away from the consumption that was unfolding. The final shot that we had in the entirety of the episode was of him standing around the corner, not being able to look at what was unfolding, looking frightened and then walking off. Something which I think is going to paint a picture of darker events which are to come. Darker events which include him. So what does this mean? Well, there are a couple of different things that this could mean. Let's start off with the obvious one. The fact that Ben was off on his own and was extremely fazed by the rest of the group shows that he doesn't exhibit the same mindset as them and is not on the same page. There's been signs of a small divide between himself and the rest of the group drip-fed throughout the entirety of the show, but this moment really did show us that it could be one that proves to be consequential. We must remember that there is an age gap between Ben and the rest of the Yellowjackets, so they are naturally at different parts of their lives. Hence why maybe he's not able to get to the same mindset as them in certain situations. However, I feel the moving away from the animalistic, ritualist nature of consuming Jackie shows that he could well be next on the menu for the Yellowjackets. With him being significantly injured when compared to the rest of the group, it shows that he is in a state that would be easy to overpower if it came to it. Whilst it may not be the next thing that we see happen, the longer the Yellowjackets go without food, and the tougher it gets to find prey, the more appealing it will most likely become for them to sacrifice Ben in order to save themselves. With the rituals and the mindset that Lottie is sharing with everybody, the sense of justification and survival will most likely be enough to sway people. I don't think it will be in the next episode of the show where we'll see him being consumed, because I believe that they will most likely bring home the moose that Natalie is going to stumble across. A larger moose which will most likely be able to feed the group for a while. However, with the moose most likely only lasting a limited amount of time and maybe them not being able to find a sufficient food source for a long while, we may see them resort to consuming the person that would be the easiest to overpower. I say this because there was also a shot in the trailer which we had for the entirety of Season 2, where it seemed as though Ben was being overpowered by the group as they were pouncing over him. I believe we're going to see him meet his demise at the hands of the others. A sad way to go, but one that will most likely be an awful, slow, and painful one as well. I imagine he'll be sacrificed as part of a ritual, and he won't be able to do anything about it. I believe he'll most likely try to fight back, but with a large group being against him and one containing the instinct to kill out of hunger, it's most likely going to be quite easy for them. Him walking away and being shocked at what he was witnessing was something that showed us that he was fully aware of what is to come, and he's most likely fearful of the fact that he could be easy meat for them if the time is right. So I imagine we're going to see him being even more cautious as time goes on, with the rest of the group looking as though they're acting together as one in some senses, but also forming small mini-groups outside of it, such as Ty and Vanessa, Shauna and Lottie, and Natalie and Travis. Ben will well and truly be left on his own, so he needs to find a way to do something about it so he has some kind of protection if he does get attacked. So do I think this will happen? I think there's a strong chance that we're going to see Ben be consumed by the group. We know that they regret and try to bury a lot of what they did in the past when they were stranded in the wilderness, and I think the consumption of Ben is most probably going to be something that will be one of the main things. We've seen them consume Jackie, Shauna's best friend, so although they aren't as close to Ben, the fact that they're most likely going to need to hunt and kill him will make it even more brutal, but it will be something that I don't think they're going to be afraid of doing. I'm looking forward to seeing the hostile situation, if Ben will actually be consumed, or if he'll be able to fight and persuade his way into survival. Personally, I don't think that's the case, and we'll see him meet a tragic end, maybe one that's even more disgusting than what we saw unfolding with Jackie. Bring on the rest of the season. So, there you have it, why Ben was scared at the end of Yellowjackets Season 2 Episode 2. I've been covering every episode of Yellowjackets Season 2 over on the channel, and I'll be continuing to cover the future episodes, as well as giving more theories about the show specifically, so hit subscribe and make sure you don't miss them. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What do you think is going to happen to him? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.